disclosures from anonymous workers. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the premise of the show. The callers you are about to hear today are anonymous. No names or locations are used in order to protect these innocents so that they can share their wild, crazy, and maybe even guilty stories from work. Paul and I have no idea what we're going to hear today.
Let's do this. Welcome to Failed Disclosure with Paul and Clint. You are anonymous. Please don't use your name or location. What story would you like to share with us?
It's just a miracle. So I don't know how much you know about double wides, but it's where they bring two halves of one total mobile home together. They bring them together. And probably,
fancy.
Hot
so they
they
cut them. They cut off the edges and they smash them together and they glue them or weld them. Is that what you're saying?
It's the luxury version of it.
Psh, big time.
Yep.
But welcome to MTV Cribs. My name's Paul. Here's my double wide.
That's extra. Getting the luxury version with the gray tape holding the two sides together. Anyway, these things are heavy. They're very, very heavy and large. There's always somebody that has to, jack up one side and jack up the other side, and supposed to put some blocks here and there to hold the weight while you go underneath.
Right, because you're picking it up off the wheels, right? So it doesn't roll around, correct?
Yes, you are.
Yes, and so they're picked up in tornadoes much easier.
Yes, and you have to get these two together to match. So there's a lot of manipulating going on underneath there. So this guy is underneath doing something.
Oh no!
And lo and behold, the tires are already off. The jack loses its power, and he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. One of these giant beams fall on him. He's on his stomach. And this thing is on his back, and his little feet are, And
are we talking like Wicked Witch of the West type stuff, like that, like the trailer, like the house fell on top of somebody and their feet were sticking out?
Exactly, but they
this dude got Wizard of Oz.
White and pointed toe. Yeah, they were like that.
The one with the Wicked Witch and trailer.
Yep. So, everybody's running around. What do we do? And pretty soon he's motionless. He's not moving.
So now we have death on the episode. Wow.
Everybody slowly takes their hat off, and poor guy.
I just view all these like trailer park people like taking their hats off and taking their oxygen masks off.
Yeah, just
standing up out of their little rascals.
Hats are over their hearts.
Back it up. They took off their do-rags. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Of course. Context. And so was he confirmed dead? Did he pass away?
As a
people
doornail.
For him were they're looking at him. He's not moving, and
buddy.
Soon they see this puff of dust coming from his mouth, and they're thinking his last breath, but sorry, Tom. And they said he's saying something. He's saying some words.
Some last words of a man trapped under a double wide. What do you say?
Give me a smoke.
He said, shovel.
He's having to tell them how to rescue him.
It's like he's been there before.
They look at each other. He's saying shovel. No.
We can dig him out.
You sons of bitches, give me the fuck out of here.
Shovel.
Right.
So do they?
Are right.
Do they do it?
So wait, he wanted a shovel himself. What is he going to shovel?
They dug him out with their hands, with their shovels, and that son of a bitch lived.
Yes. Yay for the Wicked Witch.
In our kitchen saying that. I thought that was the end of my life.
My.
It was a story.
Oh my gosh.
Never forget.
That is
and he was okay?
Proportions. Yeah, that's what my question.
He could walk. He could.
He recovered and was better than ever.
Trailer folk are a different breed. They're a different breed, baby.
We're
resilient. We're resilient.
This is an amazing story, and I can't believe there's a man who's literally dying, and everyone else just assumes he's passing,
taking their hats off.
They're too soon, right? Like, can you imagine? Like, everybody, you watch them, and they'd all just put down their hands over their hearts, kneel down. He's like, I'm not dead yet.
It's like
they're telling stories. Remember when he did this, and remember when he was such a great guy. Oh wait, there's some movement. What's the movement?
It's last shovel.
Yeah, it was.
Shovel.
It was by far, and it was absolutely true. He's absolutely true.
Oh, well, that is a fantastic story.
I just was thinking of Monty Python, where he's like picking up dead bodies. I'm not quite dead yet. Perhaps I'll go for a walk. Bop him over the head.
Well, thank you so much for that story.
These were great.
That was a fantastic one.
Yes, fantastic.
Okay, you guys, stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Intense. Wow. All right, next caller. Welcome to Fail Disclosure. Please keep your name and place of work anonymous. Where does your fail begin?
What's up, guys? So I was a lifeguard at a rec center in Colorado.
Oh, a lifeguard like this. Okay.
Yes, yeah. And there were 3 pools at like the aquatic center I was working at. And 2 of the pools were like a lap pool and like a zero depth with a big slide. And then there was a spa. And
this is a fancy, this is like, I was thinking of like a public pool with a, floating turd around it, but this is fancy. It's an aquatic center.
Yes. It was a pretty legit little pool setup we had. And part of the lifeguard responsibilities at the end of the night were to go around to each of the 3 pools and check the chemicals for the pool.
Yeah.
And based on the reading, you would add more chemicals.
pH and chlorine.
And yes, of course, that whole stuff. And for the 2 big pools, the quantity you would add more chemicals in was in pounds because there was like thousands of gallons. But for like the spa and hot tub, it was in ounces.
Okay.
And the first time I went out to add more chemicals, I did not know that the quantity changed for the spa. So instead of adding 12 ounces, I added 12 ounces.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Bad lifeguard. Bad lifeguard.
Bad lifeguard. And it's enough to because it's chemicals in that small of a space. It can really mess up like people's skin and it's kind of like not
it's enough to fuck
to
somebody up.
Yes, definitely. But I got my other lifeguard who was like working with me and was like, "Hey, I just did this," and she looked at me and it was the end of the night and like last thing we were doing, she's like, "Just put the hot tub cover on and we won't tell anyone about it."
Oh my gosh! So what ended up happening?
Yeah.
What? Well, what was the?
So I worked the next morning and was planning to, I thought I was going to roll in and because you also check the chemicals in the morning. And I thought I would roll into a whole scene of getting quizzed on how much I added the night before. But everything was fine and I had never brought it up again.
Oh. Are you sure everything was fine or is that just what you're saying?
Yeah, well, no one brought an issue to my attention. So I was just like, I am going to let this one sneak under the radar as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, you had been looking at the first people to go into that and go, ooh, is their skin going to come out melty?
Right. Just drinking a coffee, watching I love how the other person you worked with was like, slap the cover on, it'll be fine. I do it all the time. But honestly, it's weird because doing this podcast, there's a lot of things I'm like, oh, I have experience with that. I used to clean pools, so I'm very aware of this. Did you have to do the little droppers, 10 drops to see how yellow it turns?
Yes, yeah, and then shake it up.
I mean, he's not kidding. You can really mess people up. My father got some chemicals mixed up and gave me something to go do, and we did what was called a shock It was, and you're not supposed to have people in, and I just dumped it in while people were in the pool. I was like 16,
it's
right?
Fine.
And it literally was like the scene, you know, like the classic scene where like little kids are like, my eyes are burning. And I was like, oh, but I also did the same thing. I just walked away.
Oh, so did you, was this was this a constant mess up for you then? Or what, after this happened, did you get it right, or you're like, wow, so like nothing happened, and then you just kind of winged it from there on? That's what I would have done. I've been like, that's quit. About 10 drops.
He's like, I quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely learned from my mistakes, but I avoided doing chemicals from that point forward. Yeah. I was just like, there's another lifeguard here, and I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
I'm bad at chemicals. I'm not the chemical guy.
It really is. It really is crazy if you go to like a pool store though, like the amount of like chemicals and powders, and you're like, shouldn't this be illegal? And like anybody can just kind of like walk in and buy whatever. So hopefully I'm not giving the listeners any ideas, but it like, I mean, what he's talking about is like fascinating because like it is a big deal and it happens, like stuff like this happens all the time. And I'm like, probably will spend tonight Googling like worst pool stories ever.
I just feel like most people who do the chemicals at some point, they stop with the measurement of it and they're just like, and you know, it's like we're close, right? It's good enough. Like why? It's like such precision right. that they make you feel like it needs to be acquired that way, and you're just like, I don't know, it's good.
And if you're gonna do anything, you're probably gonna go overboard because you're probably thinking like bacteria and whatever. So you're like, let's just double it up. It'll be fine. Like nobody's reading the directions.
Oh, that's great.
How many turds did you have to get out of the pool when you were cleaning it?
0, but I had 2 bats. Yeah, we had a bat problem. I don't know. Yeah. There was 2 bats, and I always think it was funny because one of the bats I actually hit with a bat. So yeah, I was like, which everybody was like, you're not gonna hit it, and I'm just swinging, flailing around, and sure enough, I dinked it right into the water. And
okay, so we have a lifeguard here, so I want to ask an additional lifeguard question.
Yes.
Do you mind? Okay,
yes.
So are all the lifeguards just like getting it on together? Is it just like
banging?
The summer of lifeguarding is like all the stories you hear about?
So I worked there for about 4
yes.
months, and there were 2 lifeguards that were dating. And I did not experience any getting on action with fellow lifeguards, but there were at least 2 hooking up, and possibly more, but I don't know for sure.
I bet it is way worse than you thought. I got turned down. I tried to be a lifeguard, but they took one look at me and said, you can go clean the pool.
All right. So last question I have you as a lifeguard. What would be the thing that people would do? I know there's all sorts of rules, but what's the thing that would just drive you crazy and just piss you off instantly that you just power tripped on the whistle?
Ooh, so I'm not really a rule guy normally.
That's who you want as a lifeguard.
So I would hate like what? Yeah. So when like kids were dunking the basketball, I'd have to blow my whistle, which like I would be slamming the basketball if I wasn't lifeguard either. The lifeguarding in general is just a very easy job until something catastrophic happens.
Right.
And then you're in the thick of it that you have to save someone's life. So the thing I wouldn't like is when people would lay face down with their arms sprawled out, just like relaxing. Because that's like, and it happens all the time.
Right.
But when if someone's drowning, you have to it's a huge scene. You have to clear the pool, blow your whistle loud, call the front desk, call in backup. So it's one of those when someone's just chilling in the lazy river with their face down. Do you wait 5 seconds or do you wait 10 seconds?
They don't tell you this? Like they don't give you like instructions on like.
Yeah. Have you ever saved somebody that didn't need saving?
There would be a few times when kids would there was like a 2-year-old that slipped in the deep end.
Ooh.
And luckily on that one, I reacted to the mom running and picked the kid up like in 2 seconds after going in.
Nice.
And then there was another time similar to that the kid was in like 3 feet water that I just went in like waist deep and like just picked it up. I'm like, hey buddy, maybe stick to the side if you can't swim type of thing.
Don't die.
But luckily I never had it. Yeah, don't die. luckily I never had any big thing happen.
I love this. I love the idea of a scene where I'm trying to relax as much as possible in my lazy river and just, chilling out. And then some beef hunk comes flying over top of me to save my life. I'm like, what? A moment ago, I'm here to relax. And then I'm being drugged out by my neck to the side.
Right. There's like no proper like reaction to that, right? Like it goes down and the interesting part of it though is like, would it always be kids, or did you ever see like adults like doing something that you had to break up, right? Because I feel like, well, I guess my question probably is, was there alcohol there?
There was not supposed to be alcohol.
Okay, because the reason that I asked is my family recently went on a trip to Jamaica, and there was alcohol in the lazy river, and it was just an absolute shit show. And not to mention, it was a Costco all-inclusive Jamaica trip. Also, Jamaican lifeguards don't give a shit.
They really don't
care.
don't.
They really don't. They're just like, no worries, man. Like, they just don't care.
Okay, I thought one more question before you have to go. One more question.
Okay.
When in blowing the whistle, because you made me think of this, Paul. It's easy to blow the whistle on the kids, right? Because you're the authority figure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had to blow the whistle on adults and then had to this like, oh, I might get into something here. Like they're like, the authority figure.
I would be the guy like, what's wrong?
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. So we had a diving board, and the rules on the diving board were borderline communist. That you basically just had to jump off the diving board and go feet first. That you couldn't do any like twists. I think you could dive, but
nothing American.
You can dive off the diving board.
Nothing American about this diving board. And this adult comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, how strict are you enforcing the diving board rules?"
Oh, he's
been
there before.
Dude, I'm just like, yeah. I was like, I'm getting paid by the hour. I don't really care. And he starts doing flips, and he's like a borderline professional diver.
Everybody knows that guy.
He's like,
did he have long hair?
Yes.
Of course he did.
Yes. Yeah, longer hair. Fairly like a bigger dude who's kind of overweight.
Winning all the ladies at the pool over.
Gold chain.
Yeah.
Yes. Including the head lifeguard, who I wasn't a big fan of. She sees him do a flip, and then like runs over, didn't walk, ran to me, and makes a huge scene of how I wasn't enforcing the rules properly. And then goes to the diving board rules and leads them both to the guy diving and me because I didn't know the rules properly. And it was just so like we both got scolded, but I was just like, these rules are just kind of dumb.
The worst, borderline communist. Yeah, I wonder if there's ever been like a lifeguard that saw somebody do an amazing dive and they're like, you know what, I want to go on a date with that guy or girl. Like, ooh, if they can do that twist in the air, just imagine what they can do in bed.
Oh. Well, hey, thank you so much for calling. That was a great story.
Fantastic, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Both. Same to both you two.
Boom.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, that was awesome, man. That's a great story. That's definitely making it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Perfect.
Bye, dude.
I'm Paul Jarret.
And I'm Clint Runge. Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to check us out and subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, make sure next time you're taking a shit to download the Apple Podcast app and give us a review.
They help us know how we're doing, and if you like the show, share it with a friend or two.
You can find us on Facebook at Failed Disclosure and our personal pages on Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us today.
This is Failed Disclosure.